All right, hello. Let's get this started here. Let's see. So I think we left off last time converting the old device system into state machines, basically. Because I'm on a rampage to replace everything with state machines, basically. I'm probably gonna try do it for player as well, but we'll see about that. Let's see. Also, I did off stream. I added to the editor. Now you can change the play command in the editor itself. So you can go to edit project options. So you can set whatever command you have here for your game. I just thought that that was like something that kind of made the editor not, you know, that friendly to. I mean, there's a lot of things that doesn't make it friendly for usage other than for me personally. But yeah, I just thought that I could just change that. I just added that in. Also, I need to actually populate that as well. So I need to find. Where did I put that actually? I think maybe in here. Yeah, this is the one here. So I will copy that. There we go. I also did some upgrades to the upgrade system. So it works a lot better with like document upgrades right now. So basically a lot of times you can just do this. If you need your upgrade to be something else, you can do that as well, but most of the time you just upgrade whatever document you previously had. It's gonna also automatically upgrade the version to the next version. So let's say, well, here we don't have a version, but in the next version here we add a version. I also added this one, like type users function, which extends the fields of a struct. So it takes one struct and another struct, and it basically merges them. So the second struct will have the fields added to the first one, let's say, and that's the result. And I'm never dealing with stuff like, you know, these special kind of structs where you have like packed things or I don't know. So different alignments and stuff like that. So this is basically just, yeah, merging two structs. I guess technically you could add like an options field or an options thing as well to say, okay, do we want some special kind of struct? But yeah, it just takes the fields from the first one and adds these ones. Or if you already have a version, as we have with where is it, version 2. Here we also extend the first or version 1 with version 2 here. So you can use the default value. Here will be the one that's going to be used when you upgrade into this document. And then the upgrade system will simply know how to upgrade them, because it goes through all the fields of the previous version and sets them to the next version. And then if there's any new fields, those are going to get the default value. So yeah, and now it's pretty simple here actually. But anyway, that's what I did kind of off stream there. All right, so I think we were done with like the door and The toggle, I think, was the one we did last, maybe. Yeah, there was the whole thing with the like multiple input signals. Oh yeah, the whole concept of signals now as well, which yeah, is new, but it seems to work so far. So yeah, we have this restore state as well. Okay, yeah, because, okay, so now, exactly, now the save function will use this, or I mean the load function will use this to restore the state here. So you can have like a custom restore state depending on the device. And if we try to run this now, we should be back to where we started, I think. Yeah. So we can toggle with the button here, that works. This one is closed, so but yeah, that should be good. Okay. Oh yeah, what I could just do this. I could just move this over here, and now we start over there, and that opens that. Oh yeah, I think it opens it because, so now it should be open from the start. Oh, that was a bit weird. The animation didn't start until like a little bit later on this toggle here. Okay, but now when you go here, it closes, and the beam also works there. Okay, so I think the toggle pretty much is done. There was only the bug with the animation there that I saw. It's not really a big deal, so I'm actually, well, I'll take one quick look on it here. So I guess we restore the state. We set this. This is like a state sort of enum to whatever state we had, and then so now it's like on, and then we run the initial. So we set the state to on, which will also then to on, which will set the animation to on. Okay, so what if we, I mean, it should start as well. Start is like true. Yeah, that's curious. Okay, I'll not dive into that more right now, because the animations of these things are not that important right now. I'll write it down as a bug, and this is sort of half fixed. Button press, no, button press, no, from activate action and the lens beam, that's right. But the lens beam actually is interesting because that does have a tiny bit of duration technically, but right now it's like instant. Okay, so toggle animation is not starting. Seems like it starts after one loop, and it was only for that specific one as well. So okay, well, let's continue here. So we've got the door, I think we did, yeah, the door we did, let's continue. We got the chest. So let's make the state machine for the chest. All right, so what would this be here? Okay, well, first of all, we can do this part here. So entity is register create. Oops. And then we initialize the device. And we have what? Draw layer. We have animation container chest, which should be something here. Chest, it should be closed. Depends on, again, the restored state. We also want to add the chest itself. There we go. And it's also removing from all groups. So basically we can just say collision groups is empty. Hitbox is this, which I will put as a constant up here. This is false, and this is actually true. Static should be true, I guess. Okay. Yeah. All right, so this is basically the most complex part of the chest. So basically it's very simple. It's either closed or open. And when it opens, we have like different types of chests right now. That's how it sort of works. We have this loot type thing, which is very arbitrary right now. It's just either you can have gems or a boulder. So which is very specific for like the boss, and it's only used as sort of like a mechanism, part of this boss fight mechanism thing. So basically what we could do is we could move this whole thing into a function called open chest, or execute open chest, as we usually say. We have a context. Whoops. We do this. Yeah, so that's the chest. So let's get the chest. It's gonna be get chest. And chest has properties. And we can look at if the property is a gem. Otherwise, it could be a boulder. In the case of a boulder, we know that we're dealing with a boss here. So this is actually part of sort of the boss mechanic here. So that's why we're doing this here. But I guess that's fine. So this would be like the boss context, actually. And we don't actually need to do this because we already have a context, so we can do context something for entity there, boss entity There we go. That's a shorthand for that. Let's see what else. Here we had end of frame function. For the context we spawn the boulder. There we go. Right. So, right, because this is a function in the file itself. Yeah. So this is kind of like a weird cross dependency, like why would chest have this here? But it's actually, you know, technically, I mean, chest does have a lot of dependencies unless you sort of decouple it somehow. But because it can spawn a bunch of different things, so it's actually kind of natural that it would have a bunch of weird dependencies. But anyway, let's see what we can do here. Spawn duration. All right. Yeah, so now we can remove you. Whoops. And we'll keep this function around. We do need spawn duration. Where was that? Taken from spawn duration. Wait, what was that? Spawn duration? Oh, it's up here. Oh, okay. So spawn duration, this is like only for, like, oh, okay, yeah. This is only for the gems, I guess. Right, so, okay. Yeah, this is very specific for this part. So I will just say 0.5 here. I mean, technically we could put this whole thing into a... Yeah, we could put this whole thing into like a... What, spawn type chest? Right. Into a constant, I guess. But no. Let's see, what else do we have here? Chest. Alright, handle state change. Now we can remove you. Allocators not needed. There we go. Alright. So that's it, I think. I mean, that's it for those changes there for the chests, right? I think also, yeah, we need like restore state. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. And this would be the chest state. And right, so we would need to have that function there as well. Get toggle. I mean, we can just say get chest here. That's fine. All right, so now we have that. So now we need to define the chest state machine. We would have a initial function. And now we can actually get the chest, and we can, I guess we can switch on the state, and if the state is open, we will set the state to open. If it's closed, like open is kind of interesting to me. Like, I think sometimes it's open. You can say, yeah, it's opened. It's open, or it's opened. Like, it's opened, that means that it's open. But I think It feels like you can say both of those, right? Closed, open. Like when you say opened, it feels like you're often referring to it has been recently opened or something, or it has been opened when you maybe expected it to be closed or something. I don't know. But you can't say close. That's like like open is both like a verb and the state that it could be in. It's open. Open it. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I was debating on whether to call this like opened just to delete any ambiguity here, but because I think we're gonna have maybe when actually yeah, if we're gonna have more states, like we play an animation to open it, so it's like not open yet, but it's going to be open. Like the door has a open like animation that plays, and then when it's fully open, it changes its state to be open, or idle open or whatever. And the chest might have the same thing, but right now we don't really have an animation for that. So I'm just gonna say that this has a const open equals struct, and we should have a pre-function that will execute the open chest, and we should also play or set an animation. Whoops. Set animation to, I guess, open. Okay, it disappeared, but we can check it later. And then this is loop false. There we go. And then we have an update function. Actually, the update function doesn't really do anything, I guess. That's once the state is open, it doesn't actually do anything. It just sits there because you can't interact with it anymore. So yeah, this is just empty. Okay, and then we have closed. So this one is, we set the animation to closed. Now we have a update function, right? Because we want to check if actually this would be like device. Do we have this here? No. Oh yeah, what did we need as well? We have the sort of device component. That's right. So device component. So we should add that to device utils. Actually, we should add, because what we need is a way to check what the signal is. So here's the signal is on or off. We don't have anything in device utils for that. So what I think we want to do is we want to add like get signal or something. Is signal on, and we get a nullable timestamp when it was put on, and this would just be like get device signal, well, return a switch on that. If it's on, we return that. If it's off, we return null. Okay. Back. Here, and let's go back here. Now let's say is signal on. We don't really care about the timestamp, so I'm just gonna, we just need to know if it's on. And so then if it's on, we will set the state to open. And there we go. That's it for the chest. State machine, I think. And this is not even used, so let's do that. Technically, we don't really need the update function then. But the state machine, I think it requires a state update function. I guess we could disable the state machine. We could even like remove the whole thing, I guess. Oh yeah, we also need to we need to add the state machine as well. Device, no, just state machine dot initial. All right. Okay. Do we have any compilation errors? Don't think so. Or maybe we do. Why is it not showing up? Is something wrong with LSP again? Let's see, or maybe it can't handle this part here. Oh yeah. Device. Wait, I have these things still here though. I guess. What is the issue here? Set state doesn't exist, right? So we're restoring the chest here, but we're not gonna have the chest like that anymore. What we have is up here now. We should add one of these for the chest instead. This is the new way of doing things. So we'll have a chest. We will get the restored state. We will restore the state on the chest. I mean, this feels like we can just put this in a function. Actually, we could just put this. Yeah, if this pattern sort of continues like this, we could just make a function that takes the type and perhaps the thing here. I guess this is more like a signal. Yeah, this is a signal that we restore. This is a state, so it's a little bit different. But maybe we can streamline this into taking a state instead. Actually, yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, but we'll see if the pattern continues here. All right, now let's see if we've got some issue. Well, okay, yeah, we need to also remove this down here. There we go. We also have this part, which I think we should just, yeah, do that. And I will take whatever's in here and we need to put it over here. Okay. It's activated if it's like open, then we should save the state. We are looking at the, yeah, this should all be correct here. Still. Okay. And now we'll remove you here. Let's move these guys up here as well. So we have them there, and at the end this would all be moved, and then we can do some cleanup there. All right, so now let's see if we can run. Nope. Curious why I don't get like LSP errors for this, but switch must handle all possibilities. Okay. Did I forget this? Possibly. Oh, this one was restore. Okay, so I just removed it, I guess. Now it should work. So the important part is that we need like load and save functionality for different devices. Chests, you just need to check, okay, are they open? Okay, now it compiles. Let's see. Okay, we got some weird leaks going on. Only one though. Let me just fix this, because it's like, it's annoying that it takes like forever to close the program just because there was a leak. Okay, we got some array hash map. Why do we not get more? We got reference trace on. Why don't I get more call stacks here? Or tracing here? Get or put, but where is it called from? Oh my god. Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it for now, because I'm not gonna try and hunt that down. All right. Let's go to the editor, and we will. I mean, I guess we could just add a chest up here or something. So we'll add this guy, and we'll set, yeah, it's gems. Okay, we got a chest here. Now we should be able to, if my controller starts working. There we go. Open this and grab all that. Okay. And we restart. Ah, it's still closed. Okay. Well, it works, although you can't like open it multiple times. But why is it not restored though? That was just a leak. Chest restore state. We set the state to this restored state. If it's open, we set it to open. If it's closed, we set it to closed. Oh yeah, also when we set it to open, whoops, we shouldn't actually run the pre-function, because I mean, yeah, the one thing that we want to do is we don't want to open the chest, so maybe we actually need a separate state here where it's, yeah, okay, I'll need a separate state where it's just playing the animation and not executing that, and that's the state we set it to, because otherwise we're gonna spawn a whole bunch of things every time you load a scene in. It's gonna spawn the items again. So actually, we'll execute opening the chest, and then immediately in the update function, we will set the state to opened. There we go. I guess we could call this like opening or something. I don't know. Maybe it's like open and spawn, something like that. I don't know. So this would be set to opened. This is open and spawn. Yeah. Okay. However, that was not actually the issue. It should have opened it on load. So not sure what's going on there. What was I thinking about? Yeah, so this should restore it. I mean, we could. Okay, let's do this. We open it. Oh, I see what's going on. I forgot about one thing. So we actually have kind of like two different state systems going on here. We have this state. We have to set the state enum as well. That's the actual thing that gets saved. So when we do open and spawn, or actually we could, no, let's do it here. It doesn't really matter. Then we can get chest and we can set the state to open, right? And when it's closed, we set the state to closed. It doesn't matter actually, because closed we always we start at closed. But yeah, okay. So the issue was that since we didn't set the state to open, we never saved the state, because the save system looked at the state and it was still closed, so it didn't save the state. So now it should be saved to open instead of closed. Okay. So now we open it. And there we go. Now it's open already and we can't open it again. Okay. Alright, so I think the chest is done. Cool. Should maybe have like a list of devices that I need to figure out. But we can easily see which ones are done and which ones are not. Button is done, toggle is done. Delay is done because that was the first one that I actually did. I guess we can do mover. Okay, mover only has one state, so I think actually mover doesn't really have any. Yeah, it doesn't set the state to anything else. The only thing this does is it gets moved around. So I don't think we don't actually need a state machine for the mover at all. And they are not saved either, I think, in the save system. Although maybe you could argue that maybe we want to save the position instead of but anyway, I think we will, I guess we'll keep the state around, but we will change this. So this would be create, and then we basically have all this crap. Do we even have like, where's the animation key? Idle. And you are mover. Hitbox. Oh yeah, that's right. This is actually really different from the other one, because this one actually, yeah, this mover thing has like multiple sort of almost like children entities, because it consists of several hitbox regions. So it has a left part and a right part, which gets moved like together. So all this is very specific to this thing. But we could make the main entity use the thing here. So what is get hitbox though? This is like 0 with this size. I guess that's fine. All right. We'll add this guy there. That should be it for that. We set static to false. Yeah. And then we don't actually need this. I mean, we already... I guess we want to get the ABB. That's the one thing we want to get. We don't need to do this. Okay, and is activatable is false. Collision groups is empty. Solid is true. Okay. Then we have this left part and right part. They are basically special entities that have very specific things. The offset, which is like, it's yeah, it follows this entity around, and like rigidly, like it's like always at this offset from the entity. And the offset, I guess, is like the position of the, yeah, it's the position of the actual thing there. And then we're adding it to the collision groups. We have, yeah, we're setting the shapes here. I mean, we could do that straight away. We don't have to sort of, because here we're setting the, no, wait, that's, so we're copying all the static properties of the main body. Okay, that's fine. Here's part hitbox. We don't need this. 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 There we go. And we don't even need a state machine for this one. Okay. Edit device. There we go, I think. Oh, we do need the allocator. Okay. Is that it? Maybe. Alright, it compiles. Let's check out the boss fight, because that's basically the only place. Well, actually, we do have another. Yeah, we have this room as well. No, this is not a mover. This is like a steering wheel. That's right. We have. Okay, so we have to go to the boss fight, or we could also just make one here. So let's. We'll add a steering wheel, and we'll add, where's the mover? There. I guess we can add this We have to see it though. Over there. So it's not static, that's right. So it's gonna fall down, I think. So let's add some floor there. Wherever that is, maybe here. And some walls so you can't, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Where is it? Over here? Okay, yeah, fine, perfect. Nailed it. Oh, the steering wheel. Oh yeah, the steering wheel needs to be connected here. There we go. Okay, yeah, so it works because, you know, the mover, the only thing, the mover is basically this, it's updated from sort of the steering wheel instead. And yeah. Alright, so that works. Cool. That was that. That was kind of quick. And it doesn't have any save or restore things, so we don't need to worry about that. Right, so I've done all those. Fog of War is also not done. Fog of War staging. Yeah, let's do the same thing here. Oops. War. What is the animation called? Idle. There's only one animation, and we will add a war. Apparently, we only have scale. Actually, we don't really need the scale. Why do we need to keep the scale here? For the hitbox, I guess. Sure, but we don't need to keep it around now because we define the hitbox directly here, so we can actually just say we put the scale in directly. So yeah, this would be scale instead, like this. No, it's a vector. That's right. There we go. And there we go. Okay, animation, we don't care about this. We don't care about this. Activate, we should have deactivate, we don't care about. Yeah, we should. So here's the update function. Handle state change. When it's set to destroyed, we destroy it basically. Yeah. What else do we need? So now we're done with this. And remove from all groups. We can simply do this instead now. And it's invisible. Sure. We don't need a physics system. Alright. Draw layer. Static, solid. I mean, it is static. Sure. Solid. It's not solid. And these are false. There we go. That is, I think, everything there. Alright. Now, we've got a state machine, so we have an initial. Oops. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, Fog of War. Let's get Fog of War. So what we need to do first is we need to switch on this state, initial state. If the state is idle, then we set the state to idle. If the state is fading or destroyed, I want to set the state. So I don't save the fading state. We either save it as idle or destroyed. So really, it doesn't make sense to check fading here, but just in case. And this one, I just want to set this to destroy. Hello, Baby Yoda. How's it going? Welcome. I finally started a new project. Oh, cool. How you been? I've been good. I'm making... I've been doing a lot of refactoring recently, but it's been fun. So, and I've learned a lot about Zig as well. So, what kind of project are you making? That's exciting. Let's see here. Yeah, that's it for that. Okay, now we need the idle state. It does need to be public. Pre-function. Okay, when it's idle, we actually, why is it invisible? Actually, that's kind of weird. Oh yeah, because we have like a special draw function for these. That is right. Yes, but now we cannot do this. We actually have to get draw Folks of War. So actually this would be Folks of War, and this is no longer that. This is Fog of War like this, and the Fog of War is equal to Folks of War get entity. There we go. Now we can remove this. Alright. There we go. Now the rest should be the same, I guess. Alright, cool. I just remember that. Yeah, and so we set it to invisible because the normal system is not gonna know how to draw that. So that should be fine. Right, I was just thinking about like setting animations there and stuff, but we don't really do that. So what do we do with handle state change to idle? We don't actually do anything here. So we don't actually need a pre-function, I don't think, maybe. Unless, no, we don't have a duration or anything. So we just need a, with this could actually be an update function, straight up. Interesting. All right. And so what we do here is we want to check if the signal is on. So device utils, if the signal is on. If it is, we don't really care when it was put on. The only thing we need to do is we need to set the state to fading. And this should probably need a thing here. It's been a while, yeah. When were you on here last? A couple of weeks or something? Last week. I mean, that's not that much time. It felt like it's been years, man. But yeah. What's your project? What are you working on? Oh yeah, so now we can go down here and check what's happening with fading. Oh, actually we don't do anything. Okay. But we do have, we have a duration. So we set the state to fading, and we need to set, okay, so we need to do that as well. So here we will get our dear fog of war, and we set the state. Now we can just set it directly here to fading. We can also since we don't have the device system will not sort of handle the state change, like it won't handle this duration for us. So we need to set the duration like this. A peer-to-peer chat program in C99. Oh, cool. Is it gonna be like in the terminal, or are you gonna have a UI? Let's see. Yeah, and so here we set the duration to fade duration. Actually, here we can utilize this create timer here. There we go. Okay, so we set the duration to that. We also have an update function which will check if has state ended. It should probably be called like duration, I don't know, something with duration, or I don't know. If has state ended. I also want to say state has ended and not has state ended, but that's just me, I guess. Or I mean, it's only me working in this code base, so I could just rename it, but whatever. I don't think, I mean, has and is and those kind of things, it's also natural for them to come at the start, but it's weird English, I guess. Okay, so where state has ended, the state has ended, state duration is up. Okay, whatever. There's no good solution there, I don't think, that I can see right now. What do we do there? We set the state to destroyed or done or something. Maybe we could call it done instead of destroyed, because that kind of weirdly implies that it's already destroyed where it's actually not actually destroyed, unless you're loading. It depends on which point of view you have, I guess. But anyway, this point, yeah, we set the state to done. This will have a pre-function where we actually destroy it. Oh, it's a peer-to-peer chat. Yeah, for now in terminal, but eventually, obviously, it will be graphical user interface. Oh, cool. So is it because of a specific purpose, or is it just for fun? Let's see, federation, right, that's over here. I will put this like this. This does not need to be public. And we'll rename this, just because I decided to rename all constants to that. Camel case, you always use camel case unless it's a type, then it's Pascal case. That's kind of what I decided there. All right. Oh yeah, so here we do need to, well, we're doing this, which is kind of weird because this violates my rule of destroying things at a specific point in time. So really, I should not do this. I should just mark this for deletion instead, which we will do here. And so we will say mark, no, utils, mark entity for death, and the entity is this. Okay, and that's all we do here. The update function doesn't do anything. Actually, yeah. Okay. We could technically just have an update function that does this, because the next frame it won't call update anyway, but this is like more correct, I guess. It makes sure that this only happens once. For fun and freedom, I guess. Okay. Freedom, you don't like the current like chat program alternatives? The issue is that you want to support Unicode, etc. So I'm purposefully avoiding that for now. Just want to focus on the architecture and how my package will look like. Okay. Nice. Have you read anything about like, because I mean, I'm sure you know, like it has been around for a while, like the different types of chatting, like architectures and stuff. I don't know. I'm not that well versed in that stuff, like IRC and whatever. I mean, there's like a million types, I guess. I like session, if you know, but it's kind of limited. I've never heard of that actually. Session, or is that? Wait, is that for that? Is that a phone app thing? Session. No, wait. I don't know. It's a chat app. It's on desktop. Oh, okay. Decentralized authority, not peer-to-peer. Okay. So you want a centralized, or do you want peer-to-peer? Chat app. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that many like chat programs stuff. I want peer-to-peer like IRC, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking like, because they have like, I mean, there's like channels, and then maybe also like if you have like a private message, maybe that's like only peer-to-peer. But if you have channels, you have to have some sort of thing there. What about blockchain chat? No. People say that on IRC you have to register for every server you join. You have to do that anyway for most Discord servers. Right. Well, I guess maybe Discord is like, I don't know, more convenient for the user or something. Session is something like blockchain. Ah. Interesting. I don't know. I've never really delved deep down into like blockchain. All I know is like you have a shared history of things, and that's what's keeping it like valid, I guess, if everyone has the same history or something like that. I don't know. It just feels like a very bulky way of doing things, but yeah. I don't know. Obviously, it works. So, where was I? Yes. Okay. So we have the idle state. If the signal's on, we turn it to fading. We set the fading state there, and we set a duration. We wait until the duration is done. Then we go over here and we set ourselves up to be deleted, and then we also want to update the state of the thing as well, so this would now be destroyed there. All right, so now we have that. We have the state. We have everything that happens. We have the state that is going to be saved. We don't need to keep scale over here, so we don't actually need anything in there anymore. So I can, yeah, I'll just delete this entire thing actually. And over here we can just say this. Okay. And get textbox is still relevant, so I will keep that. This one we already did, and the update. Yeah, this one is also done. So there we go. Now it's an extremely simple. The only like, I guess, complex part is, or like out of the box part is like the drawing of it, but that should be done now as well. Nakaleo is just gonna have a ring buffer to keep a limited history of chat. Right. A limited history. Okay. But is it, but don't you need the whole history? Isn't that the kind of the point? I don't know. Or can you like compress it maybe? Or can you skip it altogether? And the server is the authority. I guess for blockchains. I mean, maybe you don't do that whole thing. Server is the authority. Right, so you always go through the server for everything? But that, or you, yeah. Because I was thinking like peer-to-peer, isn't that like more like you don't have a server basically? If it's only peer-to-peer. Yeah. I mean, you could have both. As I would like, if you want to have channels, then you have to have some sort, or, well, you have to have like at least a shared thing somehow. It's like a BitTorrent. You can have like shared data, and when you join you can download history from other people there or something, I don't know. You can launch as a server or client. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know basically anything about that stuff, so don't listen to me. I was just speculating. But yeah, it is a very, I think probably like a very well researched area. So there's probably like a huge amount of documentation out there. You're done with Discord, okay. Is it because of all the pay to stream at 4K? Oh. Wow. Well, luckily I don't need to stream at 4K. Have a GIF as your profile picture. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they did a lot of those things. Like small convenient things that you have to pay for. Online collaboration. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What about Slack? I mean, it was a long time since I used it, but that seemed to work, and you can. I guess maybe you need to pay as well. if you want to have like better services or something. I like my privacy. Family, friends want to stream maximum. Ah, okay. Right. I see. I mean, that could be a very cool open source project. I'm surprised that it doesn't exist. I think it's just because like when these like maybe it's, I don't remember if Slack was like open source. But when they grow to be that big, it's always like the money comes and gets involved and stuff. Even if you go through a decentralized network, you can get hacked. Look at. I mean, yeah. That could happen. Let's see. Hang on. What do I want to do here? Okay, so are we done here with this one? I think so, yeah. Let's try it out. So, yeah, we don't need you anymore. Well, okay, we need to also, I think, fix stuff here. So let's go to follow board. This is definitely one thing that is actually saved. So I will move you and put you up here. And move you in here if red has blah blah blah. So we have restore state, fog up or restore state. Oh yeah, that's the last thing we need. We need a function to restore the state, which is fog of war state. Fog of war. We could also just have self here as well, I guess, because we usually don't. Yeah, we usually just set the state, call this. I guess we could change it when the pattern is like fulfilled here. State machine. There we go. Alright, let's compile. Device 71. No field map, no function for. Okay. Oh yeah, because we have a thing called get hitbox, but it's not a member function now. Let's actually move this up here because it's kind of like a constant, except it depends on, you know, the scale. So I'll just move it there, and that should fix the issue here. I understand Discord is already kind of decentralized as it uses WebRTC, and so was Skype. Okay. I actually don't know what that is. Draw 165. Devices for voice. Oh, so it's actually used here. Interesting. Right. I mean, this animation is really out of place anyway. It's gonna get replaced with something else, but right now I guess we just fix it here. So let's, well, let Fog of War. Sure. Let's actually move this up here, I guess. Oh, but now you don't have. Oh, we can do this. Fog of War. There we go. Alright, so we'll test out if the Fog of War works, if the saving and loading works. Let's go over to here. Now, well, I guess we could just make a new one here. And we can also make use of the new resize functionality. There we go. No longer have to put up with weird, like, putting manually in these things, which is insanely nice. Oh, I see. So now we can have like half. Well, it should really be like this. Yeah. If I do this, it snaps to like, now it's like half. So this is like a tile. No, it's not actually. How come it's like weird like that? Now it's a tile, okay. Now it's like 2 tiles times 2 tiles. Okay, and then when I snap it to the grid here, it works. But if I extend it like this, now it's like, yeah, it's the center becomes weird. So maybe actually when snapping, when you're scaling, maybe we should snap to whole tiles. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Let's put this somewhere. And we'll add a button or something. Some kind of thing that will activate it. Okay. So, oh. Okay, well, I guess we can jump in there to see if it's there. Okay, yeah, so there it is. It's gonna be kind of hard to see if it's actually disappearing, so I'll just do this. Okay, and we'll do that, and nothing happens. Great. Is it saved? No. Okay. Alright, so it doesn't work. Great. Why is it not working? RTC is real-time chat. It's a protocol for video voice over UDP. Is it VC? Voice? Real-time communication. Oh, okay. Okay, VoIP was like the older protocol. Yeah, I've heard of that. Okay, so there's like a more modern protocol there. But I've never done anything with it. I think, yeah, I used to use like Ventrilo. Oh no, actually it was in like old Counter-Strike or something, like Counter-Strike 1.6 or something like that. I think that had like something called like that. Thing is, I don't know if any of them are safe, I guess. TeamSpeak. I don't remember. Maybe it got renamed or something. Okay, but why is this not working? So we're looking at the state. If it's idle, we set it to idle. If it's fading or destroyed, we set it down. When it's idle, we'll look at the signal on, which it should have gotten from the button. The button should have sent a signal on here. Then we set the state to fading. We set the duration here. When the duration is up, we set the state to done. We also set this thing here. And when it's done, it should go there. Oh, okay. A usual issue is that I forget to add the actual state machine to the thing. There we go. All right. Man, I've been also thinking about like monads and stuff in Zig, although it's not very well supported. It might be technically possible to do, there we go, some stuff. And when we load in, it's still there. Okay. Are we setting the state to yes, we are setting state to fading. What about save? So we restore the state fog of war. Ah, here we go. There we go. I'm surprised that that did not crash. I mean, I get, yeah, it would have crashed. It's trying to get fog of war of a chest. That should have crashed. Well, maybe we didn't actually restore a chest. Yeah, the chest might have already been, or it might have been closed. No, it is there. Strange. Oh, but it still doesn't work. Wait, did I forget to compile? Yes. Well, it should have been restored. Okay, we're looking at Fog of War. We're looking at Fog of War maps. We are... Alright, because otherwise it would continue, right, if it wasn't saved. So maybe it's not saved. Maybe that's the issue. Fog of War... Oh yeah, and also we do have this disable debug restore, but I don't think that is sort of, that only works for the old system. So, but let's see. Yeah, okay. Hang on. I didn't do this for the Fog of War. Where did we go? All right. And I think this should just be the same thing, except this needs to be Fog of War instead. Okay. Okay, now it should get saved, I think. Unless there's like a compiler error. Switch must handle all possible thing rows. Okay, let's just add Fog of War here. It might be because this has like an unknown type or something. It has yeah, it doesn't know, like the LSP does not know what this is. This is actually like a device type. So if I add this, we should see now a change here. Now we get all this. If I remove this, for example, we should get a report here, I think, or maybe not. But really? Why is this not reported here? It's like sometimes, it feels like sometimes the LSP just flakes out here. Okay. Well, anyway, at least we actually get the error. I thought this time was over. Like the LSP problems was over, but they are not. Well, yeah, it's there, so anyway. Yeah, let's see if it loads, or I mean if it's saved. No? Okay, let's do this. Exit. Path. Cbor. Extended open. Is that like a array here? On, off. Okay. It's not saved is the answer, because if it was, then it would have said like idle or destroyed or something like that. Well, actually, yeah, destroyed. So let's take a look at this. If we have Fog of War, and if it's not idle, we should save it. And we save it here. So this is the same as before the refactoring. So that should be good. Unless... No? Yeah, and this is the store part, so we should always save the state. Because I have like a list of things that I've sort of banned from being restored. But if it's stored, then it should always happen. So, okay. So let's take a look at Fog of War again. So, yeah, restore state, we don't even get there, so that's not the issue. The state is idle. We do have the state machine now. And so we set the state to idle. We don't need to set the state here. I mean, yeah, we don't need to set the state on the, like the data state, because it's already idle. If it's done, though, the state is set to destroyed. If it's fading, we set the state to fading. So it should always, like when this happens, it should always be set to not idle. And then in the save, when we store, we're looking for if it's not equal to idle, which it should be, and then we simply save it there. So not sure why this doesn't work or what is happening here. Because we did this before. This has already, like, this worked before the sort of refactoring there. So, and it's not a case like we don't need to wait until the animation is done. It should always, like, as soon as you press. Oh wait, I totally forgot. Okay. Another rule, unspoken rule, that we have about devices is we don't actually destroy them. Because then we can't save the state. Because that's how it works right now. So but what about the other ones? We didn't have to. Well, they don't really get destroyed, I guess. I guess we could add like death settings. Like we could add because I have a component called death settings where we can sort of like init without destroy, and it doesn't have a sound or an animation or anything. So we're in it. So we have a death. So when it gets, we don't destroy it, but we could remove it from. Oh yeah, because when you remove it from the rigid body. If should destroy. We could add a special case here where we destroy like we destroy the physics body, but we keep the entity around. This gonna be so complex. No, it's not a good path to go down. Well, we'll mark it for death, I guess. So the physics body is still gonna be there. It doesn't really matter because it's just a fog of war. Do we even need a physics body for this, actually? We don't need it, though. Why would we even need this? Oh, we need the position, that's right. We need the position and the size. But it doesn't, it's not part of any, like, it doesn't, it's not in the, it's like static, it's not solid, it's not part of a collision group, so. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, but I think that was the issue. Like, if we mark it for death, it gets destroyed. When we save, we're looking for all the existing entities. And if we have existing entities, we take those and store their state. But here we actually have to sort of, yeah. But now all that's common for all devices. So all devices now have a death settings that says that if they are destroyed, we don't actually, if they are marked as death, we don't actually destroy the entity there. All right. Oops. Yeah, the death system here is a little bit convoluted. Okay. Now let's see if we get the correct thing. So let's try this. There we go. Now it's restored properly. Okay, cool. What happens if I just remove that? It's gonna crash, right? No? No, it still works. It's so robust. Alright, there we go. Let's just remove all this crap. And alright, anyway, that was the fog of war. What do we have left? We have done door mover, chest, delay, toggle button, fog of war, timed toggle. We don't have not done. Timed toggle, state machine. This is like a minor sort of change, but I feel like it's so much nicer to have the state machines, and it just feels so good to just remove all these weird functions. These functions are like always the same as well. They don't never change. So it's basically you can't really, well, you can actually have, you can have common functionality. It's just that they're so like short functions. It just feels so nice to just remove this and now have it handled by the state machine system. And yeah, this is just a lot of complexity here that gets removed and like embedded into the state machine system. So I just think it's just because the state machine system is so simple, basically, I don't mind having that kind of thing. You have to understand the state machine system in order to understand how it works, but I don't think it's a huge, you know, thing to actually, when you have a system that is very simple, it doesn't take that long to actually understand, to get into what is happening. Then I think it's like a really nice abstraction to have. Also when it like it really enforces like a kind of total control architecture from the entity's standpoint, and you can see everything at once. There's like so much, so many pros with this new system, so it's kind of insane actually. All right, so let's look at this. We can activate by hit lens beam. This is actually also now part of the device component, so we just need to set a flag in order for that to be working. We have some timer stuff happening here. When we handle states, change the activate other things. Okay. Yeah, because it's a time toggle. So we have on or off state. That's basically all we have. Initial. And I don't think we save this state. The timed toggle is basically, it's just on for a specific amount of time and then it's turned on. So when you load in the game, it should be off. I don't think we actually store this, if I'm correct. Yeah, we don't actually do anything with these. So we don't really need to do anything actually with those, with the state. And that in turn means that we don't really need to store the state either like this. But I think since it's a pattern, I think that we should probably keep it. Activated at is also gonna be interesting. So let's see. So actually, yeah, the first thing what we do is we just set the state to on. No, I mean off. Do we have initial state? No, we don't. We have time and activates other things. Okay. So the only thing we need to do is set the state to off. When we set the state to off, we will set animation. Oops. To off, or whatever it's called. Looping is false. Okay, what is the animation called? It's called off, right. Then we will have an update function. And we will check if we are activated. So this will be actually device utils is signal on. If we have been turned on, now this is a toggle. So actually, if we have the same signal in that we had from before, we actually don't want to set this to on. We want to wait until we receive a new signal, I think. Yeah, because that's how the... Well, yeah, that's how the toggles work. It's like you send one signal in, it should toggle the state. And then you have to wait until you get another signal in. But the signal can be on for some amount of time, but that doesn't matter. So we actually need to look at this T here, and we need to check if this is if T is newer than our stored signal. So we need to store our signal here. We have activated at do. We actually have... No, yeah, let's... No, that's different. Although we could use this timestamp actually. Yeah, we could use that. So let's make this into the timestamp when we receive the signals. This is like the active signal we received. So we will look at time toggle device. We will look at activated at, and if that is... No, let's see, if T is more than activated at, that means it's a new signal, right? So now we set the state. Now we actually change the state to on, because otherwise it's off, or otherwise here it's the same signal in. So this is when it's on and it's a new signal. Okay, whoops. And then we have the off state. No, on state, I mean. Excuse me. And when we do this, we have set animation to on. Now loop should be true, but it's true default. So, and then we also set a duration now, and this duration is dependent on the properties of the device, which we get from the editor. And so we can say set duration to get time toggle device dot properties dot time, I think, and that should be it. All right, and we have an update function, and so here we simply check if the time is up, is timer expired, and the timer is... Oh wait, no, we has state ended is called. Yeah. Whoops. No, it's here. Has state ended. There we go. Has the duration of the state ended. It should I should really rename this to have something to do with time, because it's like it's very ambiguous at this point. But has state duration ended. We want to change the state back. Set state back to off, right? And then we go back to off. We can check, okay, do we have a signal in? Is it a new signal? We set it to on again. So if you set a signal and it's like infinitely on, then this will only trigger once, even though this goes back to off. So when it goes back here, we have to get a new signal in order to toggle it again. All right. So yeah, it's kind of like a toggle, except you you can't actually change it while it's on, because it's like it's timed. I mean, I guess we could allow, actually, we could allow signals to toggle it off as well, and then just skip the whole timer. I guess that could be possible. I mean, that's because right now it's like it's not really a toggle. It's more like you set it to be on for. You give it a pulse or whatever. It's gonna get on. It's gonna be on for a certain amount of time, then it turns itself off. Right. So it's not really a toggle, although it's toggling itself on and then toggling itself off automatically. But whatever. I should probably rename this or whatever. But anyway, now we have all that crap there. Now we don't. Well, yeah, we still need this, I think. Yeah. And well, one thing that we forgot here, or that I forgot, is to actually set activated at here as well. So let's get time toggle device activated at. So we want to set this to T, like the timestamp here. Actually, we could set this here to the T we get in there to make sure it's the exact same timestamp that we get, because this is kind of like the ID of the signal. We get the signal in here, we have to sort of set it there. There we go. Right, because if we use T here, then it, you know, it's not, I guess, guaranteed. Well, right now how the system works now is like guaranteed that you actually get the same T timestamp, but I mean, if we change the thing later, then I don't want to rely on that kind of behavior. So anyway, that is now set. We set the state to on. Then it does this. Okay, have we forgotten anything? Yes, we have. So there's one thing really left here. Also, this is, we need to reflect that in the initialize function here. Okay, let's do this one now. So we have an entity. We'll do all this crap here. Alright, so this should all be the same. The animation is on or off, so let's start with off. This is time toggle. Alright, draw layer, hitbox. Get hitbox, where are you? Over here. So we'll just put you over here. There we go. And we'll add you there. Alright. What else do we do here? We all have activated while player is false, and activated by lens beam is true. So now that is all reflected there. Static is true. And this should be good. Okay. Now we add time toggle device. Oops. Okay, I'll call this properties. It's like old convention here. I will rename you to properties because it's the same every time. And yeah, that's it for you. We also don't forget to add the actual state machine. Time toggle state machine initial. All right, you are done. You are done. You're done. You're done. You're done. We don't really care about you. Wait, is this like used anywhere? Okay, activate. Activated that, yeah, that's fine. This is fine. Okay, handle state change. So this is what we're missing here. When we're set to on, we actually send out the signal, and then when we're off, we remove the signal. So we should do the same thing. So we'll move you up to the pre-functioning on state, right? Now this one is time toggle device. There we go. And activate. Now this guy we have activate ref 2. Actually, now we need. I don't remember if I added a version of this which is like multiple. So let's actually add that. So activate entities or entity refs. And so entity refs, this is now a property of array of entity reference. There. And it's a void. And so we'll simply loop through entity refs, because this is also very common to have. Get I think I forgot. Let's check this thing. Property array. Yeah, get. And we get the property. So we have to say, so this is like entity ref. Yeah, that's the property. Wait. Right, and then you can that's just the thing, right? So that should be the same. So we just loop and call activate ref 2, because we have like 2 different versions here, and that should be good. All right, now let's add one for deactivate as well. There we go. Alright, because this is gonna get used a lot. So activate entity refs. Now we don't need to. Yeah, we're not looping through. What we're doing is we're getting. We can do this. That should be fine. Does it fit? No. All right, so we're activating these things. Okay. Whoops. Come on, I'm trying to copy. There we go. Now, and over here when we turn it off, we also deactivate as well. However, now comes the problem as well. So when we're restoring the state, we don't actually, well actually no, we don't restore the state. That's the whole thing, right? But as the initial thing here, we don't really need to set, we don't need to deactivate, we don't need to do this part. So I think we'll just set this to the update function directly. This will sort of skip this pre part. Yeah. And we don't get this, but we already are in the off animation. Now this is not perfect here. I would rather kind of try to build in a way to have a special like load maybe state or something. But, and what you could do is maybe break this out, or have another state. Now, yeah, you could break this out into a function, call this from here like common off pre or something. I think I've done that before. and then you also call this in the initial, and then you go to off update directly here. So you're kind of choosing a different pre-function, I guess you could say. And it could be like a different state as well, because that could also be a thing. But anyway, now that should work though. And on because the thing is, when we load, we don't want to send a bunch of signals out or do stuff with the signal system. That's the whole thing here. When we sort of initially load the scene, we don't want to send a bunch of signals. But when something triggers later that it gets off, then we want to run this here. So that's what's happening down here with this bool here. Is activation enabled? This is false when we just load the scene in and just set the state of everything to whatever it's going to be. So we're kind of using the same system for, you know, handling the state change and also loading in the scene. So that's why it kind of looks like this. But now, yeah, now this whole thing is done. This is, oh yeah, so is hit by lens beam is true. So that's all we need, because the lens beam will then trigger a signal in instead. So now that we're using the signal system instead of doing this manually here. So lens beam will sort of send an instant signal in, and we're using this common concept of signals now to check if we need to turn this on here. So great. Is that it? Well, we need restore state. Actually, we don't need restore state because we don't have anything to restore. So for this specific device, I think we are actually done here. This is also done. Yeah. All right. Let's see if this compiles now. Don't need to do anything in the save system for this, so should be fine. Just there we go. Success. All right. And the time toggle is this guy, so we can simply check if we go in here. This will trigger this guy, will trigger this guy, will set this whole thing in motion. So that should test this out. You can see here, these are like off. And we go in here, they should be they should be starting to happen something there, but nothing happens. So great. It's not working. Did I forget to add state machine? No, I didn't. And we have this, right? And we're using that. Do I need to add something else here? I don't think so. Okay, let's do this. Let's move this guy over here so we can see it. What? No, I'm pretty sure I compiled. Maybe I compiled to the wrong thing. Maybe it actually didn't emit executables. Okay, so yeah, because the editor no longer actually compiles the game, it just launches it from wherever it is. So now I have to compile the game first, then go over here and start it. So, but yeah, that seems to work. Also, yeah, no, but yeah, that works. Cool. Okay, so that is done. Right. So we've got door move, chest delay, toggle button, fog of war, time toggle. Okay, steering wheel. We got steering wheel, explosive war, extending blocks. That might have done that. I don't remember. Destructible tile, enter area activator. So yeah, steering wheel is. I think it's the most involved one, although maybe not from here. You can see there's a lot of things going on here. enable control, disable control. Yeah, but I mean, these things shouldn't really change. We should just have them as like helper functions. So I think what we'll do is we'll just move these out. These are just helper functions. That doesn't really need to be part of that. So what this device is basically you can activate it and then you can control something else. So you can, and that basically means you can move it left to right, or you know, in the x-axis you can move something in the x-axis, and the player kind of becomes it's kind of like taking control of another entity, you could say. So you don't no longer control the player, but you can exit the state and you control something else. So like a remote control for, I don't know, a car or something. Like one of those RC cars or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, so let's start here. Let's well, okay, yeah, but let's just make a steering wheel state machine. There we go. We need an initial function. Okay. Makes sense. What makes sense? Sorry, I haven't checked chat in a while. Baby Yoda. Does it make sense? Does my ramblings make sense? Sometimes I feel like I'm just, you know, programming and sort of half explaining what's happening, and maybe moving. You know, I'm not really stopping to explain every little detail, you know, in Zig and stuff like that. I do sometimes when I feel like there's a topic that is like, I mean, I guess not that, I mean, maybe like unusual for programming languages in general. Like if it's very new for like the captures, for example. Well, I don't really explain them anymore because well, sometimes, but like concepts in Zig that's not usual in other, or that does not exist maybe in other programming languages. But I do wanna, I do like to, you know, discuss programming and stuff like that. I have actually in one stream I did a code review of a Zig project. I didn't have that much input, but I did find one thing that I could add to it, so that was good. Anyway, steering wheel. So initial, we will, well, it's always going to be idle. So the first thing we do is we set the state to idle. All right. Then we have an idle state. When it's idle, we will, whoops. We don't need you. When it's idle, what do? We set the animation to whatever. Let's do this first here, so we get rid of this part. You are animation container, steering wheel. The animation is idle. Then we have like go layer, hitbox. Yeah, we don't have collision groups, so let's put this to empty. It is static. It's not solid. It's not activatable lens ping, but it is activatable by the player. Right? And then we also need to add steering wheel initialize properties. And let's rename you to properties. There we go. All right, now we're done with that and that. There we go. Okay, now we also don't forget to add the actual state machine here. So this is the steering wheel state machine in the show function. There we go. Now, if Sig didn't have like being able to pass pointer functions, none of this would have worked. I don't know if that is like one of the things which is, I mean, it just enables so much more things you can do. I guess technically, since you have access to assembler or assembly directly in Zig, you could also create a function that calls another function technically. So even if you didn't have pointers, like even if you couldn't pass pointers to functions, you could still make a function that can call a pointer. So you can make a, well, actually no, because you need the actual pointer as well. If they didn't support like being able to actually grab the pointer, like have the address, then it would be sort of impossible to do. But okay, let's see, hitbox. Yeah, let's move this out here, and we can grab the hitbox. Like this. Allocator is not used. Okay. So we can remove you and you. Kind of implied there. Okay, we'll keep this around. So we have idle and active state. Come on. Right. So what's going to happen in the idle state? We will get this convenience library here. Set animation to idle, and I think this is false, right? In here we will set animation to, I guess, active. Yeah, now I can remove this, and looping is true in this case. All right, so that handles that. Now if we're idle, we want to check for the signal. Now technically you could potentially send a signal in from anything. However, this is only supposed to be used by players, so depending on how you make the level, you can connect devices to this, but you don't do that. So yeah, the only way that you can get a signal in reality here is for the player to actually go and press this device up close and personal. So yeah, we simply need to check if a signal is on, and since the player signal is basically like an instant signal, we really don't need to look at the timestamp here. We just set the state to active at this point. And I think that's actually it for that. Now in the active state, a lot of things is going to happen, and I also think we need a post function as well, because we are going to need to enable and disable control and stuff like that. So yeah, that's there's a lot of things happening in here. So let's check what's happening in the handle state change here. So when we go to idle, we also disable control, but this should happen in the post function in the what is it? In the active, because that sort of guarantees that once you have enabled control, you also disable the control. Because when you enter active, you call the pre-function. When you exit active, you call the post function. So it's kind of contained within the active. There's only one way in and one way out, you could say. Yeah, and so we want to basically do this and this. So I will get, well, we need all this actually. And let's go up here. And I'll probably put this in its own function. This is basically, no, this is active. No, this is the post. Yeah, the post function. We do this. So we will actually, let's call this, I guess disable steering wheel or something like that. Not sure what to call this. Maybe not disable, maybe like deactivate steering wheel. All right. Deactivate steering wheel. And here we'll do this. So we will get the play component. We will get the controlled entity, and we also need the steering wheel, which has the actual entity we want there. You can only control one thing. If this exists, we do disable control on this entity. I think what we want to do is we want to change this into using a context instead. So this will be the context, and now we can remove this. And so here we'll say context for entity E, and that should be sort of the same thing there. Then yeah, we can get that like this now instead. What else do we need it for? We have a view here for offsets, right? And we go through those, and we also disable control for that. So for empty target offset. Oops, there we go. All right, and that should do the same thing. So it's kind of like a recursive with disabling. If we have like this is kind of like child. If we have an offset that has this as a parent, then it's kind of like a child. So we're doing like we're disabling, trickling down the children there, and recursively disabling things there. All right. Now, target. This is that. All right. Okay, so that was deactivate steering wheel. Right. So then, what else is happening here? Yeah, so this should be done. We can remove you. Now, so this is the pre-function basically of the activate. So I will call this activate steering wheel, I guess. And we need to do the same thing here. We need to get these things. We could probably, yeah, let's make this into a function here, like get controlled entity. And this will be like a nullable entity. Oops. and we will return this, which returns a nullable entity. Yeah, or so excuse me, optional. It's the correct term, I guess. Right. So now we can simply say get controlled entity, and we can do the same thing over here. All right. A lot simpler. Oh, but you still need a control. Okay. And you also here you also need play component. Man. Do we just return play control? We could just return play component as well, I guess. Yeah, let's just make a tuple here. It's just for these two things, so I don't really mind doing that. This is a pointer, so we'll return this first and then the play component. There we go. Now, yeah, we get that. So we have entity is entity and play component. There we go. Now we can't use E, we have to say entity instead. Source, that's actually context.entity. Enable control, we should really use this now. Okay. Now over here we also have entity and play component, and this should be for entity. There we go. Target body red get. Wait. Alright, so let's make this like context for control. It's equal to context for entity, right? And so now we can say context control instead. Whoops. And remove that. Target is context control entity. A little bit more easier to see what's happening there, I guess. And this we already have for context controlled. All right. T we have. Okay. So activate or enable control, I mean. So this would be simply be this. And that should all be the same. And that as well. We have offsets, target offset. So this, I should say then context offset. Target. Okay. So pre here we actually now I activate the thing, right? So we're entering activate. That means we call this. When we exit activate, we call this. So it is only one way in, one way out. Well, technically you can actually skip the pre function, I guess, and the post function by just calling update or setting the state to update, but whatever, I'm not doing that, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, then in the update function, what we are doing is we do something. Didn't we have like an update function? Did I miss that? Did I remove that and didn't think about it? let's check the diff. No. Disable control. Where's the update function? Did I not have an update function? Okay, there's nothing in the old system to like specifically handle steering wheel. I'm gonna check if there's anything here. That's like the activate thing, I think. Yeah, this is like the old thing there. Spawn, no, scene, device, animation, player, input. All right. So what I was thinking is like the active, this part, I guess. I guess this would be like an input. Do we have like deactivate? Yeah. So control input, right? We deactivate. However, this doesn't work now because this is not a device type anymore. So it should actually be, this is, okay. Right. This is not a device type anymore. This is a device component. There we go. And what we do with that is we say set signal to off T. Okay, now that's all connected up. So from the player controller you press cancel, then it sets the signal off, which should be then caught over here, which I can check. Now I'll make a new function over here and call this if this is off, and we can optionally get the timestamp. If it's on, it's no. There we go. So here we check if it's off, and it doesn't matter when it goes off, because yeah, when the player activates the steering wheel, the signal is turned on. Actually, it's turned off immediately, actually. So maybe we're looking for a new on signal. Actually. Yeah, we're looking for a new on signal. And then no, wait, this is the wrong. This is in idle. It's over here. There we go. Yeah, we're just looking for a new on signal. Then we set it back to idle, because kind of like how the player signal thing works is that we send like an instant signal. Yeah. So actually, yeah, we need to. I'm just gonna add a like send instant signal. And it's implied to be on here. We need an S, or I mean a T. And what we need is we need the registry. All right. Now this would do the same thing as we're doing here. So we're setting the signal to on. We are causing an update to the state machine system, and then we're setting it to off again. Right, so that's what we're doing there. So now let's call send instant signal instead. There we go. So now we can kind of encapsulate that behavior. No, set signal. And we can also do this here. All right, and that should now sort of, you know, send a signal to actually cancel the control. Okay, so the idle state looks for a signal. It sets it to active. When we're active, we activate the steering wheel. We look for another signal and we set the state to idle. And since the signal is instant, it's immediately set to off. So even if we get from idle into here, this wouldn't be on, right? And so we set state to idle back when we get another signal. And when we do that, we call the post function, which will deactivate the steering wheel. Okay. Now, is this done? So this I already, yeah, this was like the activate steering wheel, yeah. So now I think we have everything converted. We're adding the state machine, we're adding that. Yeah. We are not activated by lens beam, we're activated by player. Okay. So let's see if that works. Well, compiler errors. Steering wheel 137. Expected entity found optional. Okay. All right. So actually, okay, let's do this. Control entity is equal to this. If we didn't find it, I think we want to say return null. Yeah. And then we do that. There we go. Play component. We can also move that down here, I guess. Doesn't really matter that much. I think, anyway. Yeah, because we're not using that up there. I'm not sure if like SIG optimizes that. I know that's something like dependency something or other. There's some term, technical term for that kind of thing. I forgot what it's called now. Wait, why is the toggle not working now? This should activate this, which activate. Oh, because this is saved. Oh my god. Okay. I think we can just remove this. Actually, we'll remove that, and we'll set this directly to that instead. Yeah. Activator. Player. Oh yeah. So which one would that be though? 60. Yeah, that's you. Okay. We'll change you to that. We don't really need the intermediate thing there. There we go. Okay, that solved that mystery. I'll move this up over here for now. Okay, what did we actually do? I forgot. We did the something here. Oh yeah, the steering wheel, that's right. The steering wheel. Okay, well, let's add back a steering wheel here. Actually, we could actually go down here and we can go, I think it's over here. Yeah. Here's the steering wheel. So let's see if this works. Actually, I want to try this. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, that still works. Whoops. Okay, that did not work. Interesting. So it seems like the activate thing works, but when I try to deactivate it, all hell breaks loose. Which I do remember being a problem. Like the steering wheel, when you took over something, and right, is that still an issue? So before there was an issue where, okay, that doesn't seem to be the same issue now, where if the thing you're moving has static and you release the control while it's moving, it's going to back to static, which will set sort of the density to infinite because of like physics reasons, and then because it's static, but then it still has velocity, and then in sort of the mass calculation it will have like infinite mass and infinite sort of momentum or whatever, and then it like I guess it like launches off, or it gets not a number, as it like divides by 0 somewhere. So but now even if it's still, I cancel, it disappears. Also the steering wheel did get deactivated, but the player is still like in a active state. So there are some stuff missing here, and I'm gonna check what's happening here. So we removed a bunch of stuff. Disable control, yes. That doesn't do anything with the player though. The player is happening over here, right? We're setting the state to idle, so I think I forgot about that. So that is happening in the post function here, I think. Yeah. We should probably just... Yeah, we should probably just set this here, actually. Set the state to idle. Because, yeah, that should happen at the same time there, yeah. And I guess even if we have... Well, let's say the entity gets destroyed or something, then we can't really exit the state. Well, that's not something that's actually happening right now. Actually, it is. I'm sorry, it is. We have to fix this. Oh, man. So we do have to sort of get the player component from outside anyway. It's so annoying. I mean, okay, whatever. Let's just get this. Wait. Yeah, we need to get the play component. We need to set the state to idle. No, idle. And we don't need to do it there. We actually don't need to grab that in that case. I guess we can, yeah, let's just remove this thing. And we'll return control entity directly. So why do we even bother with this? We didn't even need this, actually. Okay. Let's grab this there. And you can just be entity here. I mean, technically it could be like controlled entity instead. Controlled entity. No. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's okay. I did that whole weird thing for nothing, basically. Okay. So place it there. Let's call this control entity. Why not? Actually, yeah. So there we go. I'll break this up so it's a little bit nicer. Disappear, please. Deactivate steering wheel. Okay. Get control. What time is it? Oh, I need to sort of. I need to eat something. Maybe I'll order something. I'll just order some food here. Getting a bit like hangry, I feel. Let's see. What do I want to have? Maybe. Just a second. Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, I want to have that thing. There we go. All right. It's gonna be nice when everything is converted here. I'm really impressed with this new system, actually. Well, we'll see if it stands the test of time. But it's like to me, like right now, the system it has replaced, it just makes a lot of sense. It's so versatile as well. Okay, but anyway, this compiles, or what happened? Yeah, so now we set the state to idle, so the player should be exiting the state. The only bug left then is the thing disappears. Oh, and now it's crashing, or what's happening? Yeah, it's crashing. And it takes like forever. Man, I'm tired today. Finally. We got some leaks. Well, I don't care about that. We got some switch. Yeah, I really need to fix this log. Actually, every time I say it, I just don't do it. So let's just do it now. Okay. Now, this function is like, I think it's gets called like every frame. Yeah. because it's trying to find whatever gamepad is like currently active. So it's looking for input that is on any sort of input device that we're detecting. And the thing that has been pressed like most recently is the current sort of gamepad here. But the issue is, I guess, if we log out that we switch to the gamepad because of like debugging reasons here. And I guess we don't need to do that if we already have this gamepad as the active gamepad. So I'll add. So I still want to return. So I'll just add if gamepad is not equal to this gamepad, then we switch. Okay. But I still want to return because we detected that it was pressing down, so we don't want to look for other candidates there. All right, that should be good. Let's just run this, see if it compiles. Yes. Okay. So now we shouldn't get like spammed. Like this should happen. This probably happened like every time I press the button. However, I didn't really press the button that much. So that's also weird. Oh, maybe it's like the X axis and the Y axis. Okay, that could actually be a problem. I don't have multiple gamepads, so well, I mean I do, but I don't have it set up. So maybe I should probably like try and fix that. Like I should test if you have multiple gamepads connected, it shouldn't like constantly switch between them if you have it shouldn't check like the X and Y axis of things. It should have like a dead zone, I guess, for that. I don't know, maybe I don't know why it's spamming there, but hopefully it's sort of fixed now. Okay, we're trying to access control while idle's active, right? So this is from in the steering, this is from within steering wheel. Line something 164. Okay, so we're disabling control. Apparently it was not disabled. Okay, let's think about how this happens. So this is being called from this. So in the state machine update, we get a signal on. We set this there. Oh, okay. I know why, because we're setting the state here. Okay, so let's just grab the control before. I mean, or we could set the state after, I guess. Yeah. We assume that it's control. We set the state to idle afterwards. There we go. That should be better. Yeah. All right. Now let's try this. There we go. Oh man, it feels laggy now. Okay, so the steering wheel works. It felt laggy for a second. Like the input was way off. Interesting. I'll try it again. Maybe it was just the controller because it's like connected via Bluetooth or something. I don't know. Okay, but that works. I wonder why this disappeared when I deactivated before, but it works now, so whatever. Okay, now we only get one switch to debug message, so that's very good. Okay. Although we could still have the problem that I said before, like if you have two connected and it like detects like we're looking at raw input down, right? So how this is set up is like I have a bunch of I have a thing called raw input type, which is sort of modeled after a gamepad. But I'm also, it's kind of like abstract as well. I'm kind of using it as kind of like a button layout, you could say. So you could map this to a keyboard as well. Well, I did map it to a keyboard as well. So left face is basically the the diagonal, no, what is it called? The digital, the D-pad. And then this is like the 4 buttons on the right side. Like on my controller is X, Y, A, B. And then you have the triggers, you know, left, right triggers. You have the middle buttons. I only have the middle right now. But technically I can just add another one. So each one is sort of mapped to, you can map it to an action, like here. I map this to use item, for example, right face up. So that's my X button. And then we also map it to actual like inputs from Raylib here. So we have like key down. So this is, I put this as R, and also like the actual up, like X button on my controller here. It's like a switch controller basically. So and that would be like, what's that on I don't know what that is on an Xbox controller, whatever. It's the upmost button on the right side. Yeah, so we're checking if it's down, right? But then we also have the sticks. So on the left side, because that's like movement basically. So we have like the left stick if it's up. Now this guy is actually only set when the dead zone is passed. So we actually don't, yeah. So yeah, so it's already checked with dead zone. So I'm not sure why it's like triggered a million times. Maybe I did press the button so many times. It didn't feel like it. I was just skeptical there that might be something wrong, but whatever. I'll test this later while connecting a different controller in and see how it can switch between the two. Okay. So yeah, so I guess the steering wheel is actually done now. So the steering wheel is fully converted into the new state machine system, and now it's like a lot less code, although, well, I guess it's a lot less code actually managing the state and stuff, but the code itself mostly was, you know, these things down here, like active, disabling control, enable control and stuff. That's all the same. So but anyway, let's see what else we have. So I think we've done all of these up to here. So now it's explosive wall. Oh, and this actually has 3 different states. So it's kind of like the fog of war. All right, let's just get to it here. We create a state machine. We have the initial function. And so basically, yeah, okay, yeah, so this is, I'll just call this device. Explosive wall device. So what we want to do is we want to switch on the current, on the original, on the state, sorry, on the state there. And if it's idle, we want to set the state to idle. If it's activated or destroyed, we want to set the state to, I guess we called it done for the other thing. It's probably should call it destroyed here. Whatever, destroyed, fine. All right, so we need 3 states, idle. Hey, PP Volto, how's it going? Some OS distros have settings for repeat on hold. Right. Oh. But yeah, I'm using the gamepads. I've never touched the keyboard though. Baby Yoda, what are you using for input? On Windows we have the input. So I'm using Raylib. I'm not sure what they are using. The Raylib library does something there. And I'm guessing it's like it's Windows. I mean, yeah, it is. I'm running it on Windows, so it should use, you know, it's using something. But it's easily checked. You can go in and yeah, I think the code base there is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's a good library. It's extremely easy to use. It's like one of the easiest libraries I've ever used that has anything to do with like game development. I feel like that kind of sort of, you know, basic rendering, playing music and sound and stuff like that. It's like extremely easy to use. And maybe I've got, you know, I don't know. I've learned so, like. When I first started, I think when I first wanted to get into game development, it was like a lot of years ago, but I never, you know, finished any projects or anything. But I learned a little bit here and a little bit there. I think the first library that I used was called Allegro, and then I went to SDL after that. But, you know, I was very young and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I never really got anywhere. Some OS do not care what device, and some drivers handle it differently. Oh, okay. So you could have like a repeat on a... That's kind of weird. I think actually like when it's on, when you press the button, it's on, it's down. So it's not like it's activate. I don't think it's like activating like multiple times. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I might have just pressed the button more times than I thought I did. Explosive walls, temperature. Because if it did do some weird like repeat thing, then my whole state of the inputs would be wrong. I guess it could be. I mean, I would have to sort of check that. I would have to maybe show like some sort of visualization of all the buttons. Okay, let's see what's happening with idle. Okay, well, let's map out the states here. So we have idle, we have activated, and we also have destroyed. Okay, so what's happening with those? Well, we can remove that. Let's just clear out some stuff that we don't actually need. I'll move you up here. Whoops. So const hitbox equals to that. Come on. Oh my god. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening there. Right, that's the animation for the thing. Deactivate, we don't do anything. This one, activated default. Activated default. Okay, that's, I don't remember this. Simple fix is to ignore multiple buttons when a button is down. Okay. Fix for which problem? I forgot. Sorry. Get animation. We don't care about that. We got idle activate. Okay, we got direction. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this one here. Entity red create. Hitbox. Oops. Okay, is activated by players false? Is activated by lens beam is true. Solid true. Sure. Collision groups yes. Okay. Let's add the explosive wall device. Unit properties. Alright, that's it for that. Then we have the direction. So we're setting the direction manually here. And if it's flipped, it's right, otherwise it's left. And then we add the direction, right? Because we normally don't have a direction for devices, which may be kind of weird. But that's how it is. All right, animation. Let's just do the animation here. So idle. We have a pre-function. Oops. What's happening? So we will set animation to idle. Looping is false, I think. Yeah. And yeah, we need the same for these. Destroyed though, I'm not sure. No, that doesn't have an animation. This is activate. Looping is also false. Repeat events. Right. Ignore multiple downs when above it. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, so I think Raylib has like if a button is down, which is either, you know, true or false while the button is actually down, it's true, otherwise it's false. And then it also has like if the button was pressed or if it was released. And what I'm doing, I'm only looking at if the button is actually down. I'm not looking at Raylib's way of looking at if it's like pressed or released. The pressed is like at the moment, it's like for one frame if the button was pressed down. And then the next frame, even if the button is still down, it returns false. But what I'm doing is I'm only looking at the down if the button is down. So I'm not even, you know, looking at kind of events. I'm looking at the state of the button. And then I'm storing that. And then I am actually, yeah, I have my own sort of system for checking for edge cases. Oh, hang on 1 second. All right, my food is soon to be here. So I don't think that's an issue, but it's good that you. I wasn't actually thinking about that. I mean, it could maybe be messed about with that state as well. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking. That maybe I should have a state for that. I'll just I need to pick up my food here, so BRB. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably you need to react to the pressed or release without you have the repeat problem. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is container. What an explosive wall. There we go. Animation is idle. Right, now we can remove this. And I'll keep this around because don't remember what that was for. I'm pretty sure it's for like restoring the state to activated or something like that. Activated default. Why would we have like different, like has spawned explosions as false, right? It's, yeah, this feels weird. This feels like a one-off thing. Doesn't really fit the pattern really. I mean, now I would just set this to, to this, right? Wait, can you do that? Activated. Is that possible? Like, let's say idle is like a timer or something, and then we set this to 0. Is that possible? Like, can you have a default explicitly valued union? Because yeah, if you just set dot activated, like it would be kind of cool maybe if you could do this, right? And you don't have to, you know, you can say if you want to set it to activated, you set it to activated, like just dot activated, and you would get sort of the default initial value. I mean, what you also, this is what I'm doing here as I'm saying activated default. Okay, yeah. Now I kind of understand what's going on here. So instead of having to type this out, I'm just saying activated default. But same, I can't just call it activated because then it will be a name collision. So that's why I call it activated default. So it's like instead of doing, I have this because otherwise I have to do this, right? Which is not, it's not bad either. It's just, I don't know. It's not really a huge issue. I'm always looking for, you know, patterns, better things, and trying things out. So that's, yeah. I'm looking for, you know, what's possible and stuff like that. So, all right. But I think I will, I will convert this explosive wall and then I'll call it for today. So what the hell is happening over here? We got a lot of things going on. So yeah, so we have these 3 states. We have idle, so that's what we start with. If we're then we have activated and destroyed. Now I saw that in destroyed it also set the animation to idle, which is strange. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but idle is like still. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if it's idle act or activate, since it's gonna get sort of hidden anyway. So what we'll do is now we need like update functions. So update. Now for the idle, I think all we need to do is we need to check for an input signal, and if we get one, it doesn't matter when it was activated, we can just say set state to activated, right? That's all. Now this whole thing is done. Now we're on activated. So here, I don't think we really do much in the update. I think all we do is here we set the animation and we set the duration to be the duration of the animation, which we say set state ends at end of animation. And then in here we are checking if our state duration has ended, and if it has, we set the state to destroyed. Oops. There we go. And then when it's destroyed, what do we do in that case? Oh yeah, so we also activate things when it gets destroyed. That's right. So we will activate. It could also be in the post activation actually, because then we kind of circumvent the thing. Okay, yeah, let's do post activation. We will activate things. So, right, this would be get explosive wall device, properties, activate, I think. Yeah. Well, we don't really see that, but yeah, it activates. So that should activate all of those. Okay. And then destroyed is basically just, it doesn't really do anything, I guess. What are we doing? Yeah, we're removing the body. I mean, yeah, I guess we do this. Make ourselves invisible, remove the rigid body. So this is basically, I mean, this is basically what we're doing with, I think it was like Fog of War. We're destroying ourselves. The problem here though is when we remove the rigid body, it kind of could invalidate other body pointers. No, it can't. Wait, can it? Well, removing that one. I'm not sure if this can invalidate stuff. It just feels unnecessarily risky here. So, well, I guess what we could do is we could say, we could add end of frame function, and that would be like destroy device or something. And this will do all this crap here. All right. So that will happen at the end, like that happens at a specific point in time. It's kind of like a transitional period where sort of these invalidations don't really matter. So that should be good. All right. Yeah. And then I guess, yeah, when the destroyed doesn't really do anything else. Yeah. So I think we can just, yeah, I think we can just remove. This happens at end of frame, that's fine. Should happen like before draw and stuff, so we don't. trigger that. Although the physics step should still count this as being there, I guess. Maybe. No, because this is like the pre-function. But this happens in the state machine though. Maybe we should have like a state machine update in the load function. I think maybe we do actually. I don't remember. Well, whatever. Doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so this one is done. So this whole thing is done. Right, so now we only have the update here. This is automatically handled. So we don't need to worry about this. Activator. So yeah, so this is the only thing left, I think. Destroy doesn't do anything. There we go. So I will move this. Whoops. Come on. Oh, what happened? I will move this into its own function, which is like update active or something. I will add a little context here. I don't know. I know that I don't have to manually format it, but I like to practice some of that stuff anyway. All right, this we can rewrite this a little bit now. Okay, yeah, and we don't have this update anymore. Okay, it's this activated. Oh yeah, so one thing that we need to do as well is we need to set this, we need to keep this state here. So when we're idle, we will get, and we set this to idle. When we're activated, we set this to, well, we set this to activated default. There we go. Very simple to do there. And this one is destroyed. There we go. Well, actually, no. It happens here. There we go. Okay. Right. So we only... Now this is a nice pattern. Like, this gets activated that when we exit the activated state, when we're done sort of playing the animation, then we activate the things, because that's kind of what we're doing. We don't want to activate things when we're destroyed, which is really nice now, because when we load in the state, this guy is already destroyed, so we set the state to destroyed. That will in turn only set the state to destroyed and, you know, cause the other side effects, like removing the rigid body and stuff, like the physics body of this entity, but it won't activate a bunch of other stuff. So that's precisely what we want to do here. Okay, I'm gonna move you down here because that's how we did it before. Is there anything else we need to do here? Activated is what? That's the state, I think. Let's get the device here. This is explosive wall device. So device.state.activated. I guess technically we could have the activated state here, just to make sure that we actually, that's what we have. But let's see what we, okay, let's do this. Active is device state activated. Activated. Let's call it activated. So now we don't have to change the code down there. Okay, registry, we can just change to context registry. Entity. And this we don't need to do anymore, because we can use the built-in functionality here. Right, so yeah, we're doing that. But what we also do is we say update active, I guess activated. So this one, what this is doing is, well, for one, we're spawning a bunch of explosions. I guess we could do that at the start. Why are we doing it? Oh, because we're doing it at a certain point in time of this. We're doing it at the animation frame number 5. All right, that's when we spawn animation. Right, that's right, that's right. I should really make this into an actual like animation instead, and just spawn the 2 animations. Like spawn this animation separately or something like that. I don't know. But this keeps it like kind of like, now we have the potential to make this sort of dynamic. What this is doing is basically spawning a bunch of smaller explosions alongside the main one. So okay, but it's doing it at a certain point in time here. Yeah. This is a good example of like we could almost be like a sub state machine here, but well, maybe not that good of an example, but anyway. So we're basically, yeah, we're checking if if we have spawned the explosions yet, and if the frame is 5, right? And so then we set that to true. Yeah, because then after that has happened, we don't really need to call this function anymore. It's like a one-off thing, or one fire and forget thing, but it only activates at a certain condition. Okay, well, but once the entire animation has ended, we set the state to destroy, so we don't need to worry about that. But yeah, so yeah, now I think we've converted everything. Now we can remove you. Okay, we do need to not forget to add the actual state machine here, which is explosive wall device. No, explosive wall state machine. Initial. There we go. I still need to do the indirections. Kind of what's special sort of about this device. Okay, are we done here? I think so. Let's see if it compiles. No. Explosive wall 39 conversion from something to something else. Explosive wall device. State. F60. Wait, what? Oh, this should be removed. There we go. I forgot to remove that. Oh, here we go. Okay, now we got stuff in the save file thing as well. All right, so let's do this. This is explosive wall, and we have restore state, explosive walls. We want a context. We do devices, explosive wall restores. Okay, we need this. Yeah, we need the restore state function as well. So let's just grab this one because they are basically exactly the same. And up here. And this is explosive wall state. Explosive wall device, explosive wall state machine. There we go. Yeah, I'm beginning to see the pattern there, which is nice. Okay, so that was save, I think. Yes. Just making sure everything is named correctly here. Now we should also have the restore. No, wait, that was the restore. Sorry. Here's the save. Yeah, so we'll add this up here. This is the explosive wall. No, just explosive wall. You know what? I'll rename you to device. Maybe. I guess it's a little bit different for each one. That's why we have like separate here. It's always like a little bit different. This one, well, most of them have, you know, either it's activated or it's not activated. If it's activated, we should store it as activated. It's not activated, you know. But some of them have more states and it's a little bit more complicated. And they can have like initial state as well, if it's like on or off initially, and then we don't need to save it if it's on initially and if it's on now. So, but that's everything else should still be the same, I think. Here, yeah. All right, so there we go. Now we should have save and load functioning there. Okay, what's your issue? State machine. What? Oh, what's this? Update not implemented. Oh. Okay, that's an example of how you can have your own sort of compilation rules. In my state machine system, it's complaining that the destroyed state does not have an update function. And that is correct, although we don't really need one, but let's just add it there to make it work. All right. There we go. So this was the explosive wall. Now let's see if we can find an example here. I think we have, yeah, we have these ones. So I will, well, this one should, okay, it's still up. So, well, unless, okay, I can move it. That's not correct. It should block the way. So this should be static, yeah. This is static, true. All right. Otherwise it worked, I guess. Well, it spawned at least. And it blocked my way, so. Now let's see here. Okay. Okay, I had it was actually just a coincidence that I moved into it because I was trying to press A to see if I could activate it, but I can't. So, but now I can do that and it crashes. Okay, well, it worked almost up until the end. Let's check the logs. Oh, that's leaks from the editor. Okay, so let's see. Access user on field activate. Oh. Okay. Okay, where? 127. Activated device state activated. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, because we set the state here. That runs the pre-function, which sets the state to destroyed, and so we're done here. We don't have the state destroyed anymore. So this should really be like an else. I think, yeah, we should have an else here. All right. Okay. Let's see now. Boom. No, still crashes. Okay. What could it be? What could it be? Please tell me. Entity. Assert. Okay, so it's asserting something here. Device 249. Oh, we're getting that. Oh, okay. Right. So this is the lens beam. This is that gets the lens beam. This is getting. This is like, yeah, it's hit by lens beam. This guy is called here, right? Okay, my mind is going off thinking that, okay, what if we just disable this device at this point? We could also here, we could check, like we could do a try get, and that will make it so the issue is that it gets destroyed, but it still exists, so it still runs these functions. Maybe it's like, maybe it's better if we deactivate this, but it still runs this to check if it's hit by the lens beam, to sort of, this is part of the signal system. But I guess a quick fix here would be, well, I'll add a to-do here actually. To-do, add support for disabling devices, so we can skip this. I don't know. That's just an idea. Okay, but then here we do try get, and if it doesn't exist, we can just return false, because then it's not hit, because it doesn't have a, yeah, it doesn't exist basically. Yeah. All right. All right. Boom. There we go. No more crashes, and the activation also works. Cool. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, I believe. These still work. Okay, cool. And so actually, one last thing. I want to see if the restore works as well. Okay, yeah. So the restore works. You save the game and you load it, and it's all restored and nice. Cool. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for this time. So thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see. Wait, is it Friday today or what? Yeah. So I don't know if I'm gonna stream in the weekend. We'll see. Probably not on Sunday though. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. In the evening for me instead. Like right now it's like 1 in the morning. I almost said it's like 1. It's 2:30. No. Yes. No. It's 1:30. Sorry. For me. So maybe like in the evening, like at 8 o'clock for me is like in 7 hours. Well, tomorrow that is. But anyway, well, I don't know if that's possible. But anyway, so otherwise, I'm gonna see what I can do like next week. It all depends on how busy I am in other stuff here. So, but anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you later.